Congratulations. You are dead. This sentence is not a joke. It is the most real truth that the human mind is afraid to hear. Because death is the only event that makes all human plans meaningless in a single moment. No matter how strong you are, how intelligent, how wealthy, how faithful, death places you at the same point as everyone else. The body stops. The heart goes silent. The brain loses its activity within a few minutes. Doctors write down the time. A date is recorded on paper. But at that moment, the most important question remains unanswered. Where did you go? Humanity has been searching for the answer to this question for thousands of years. In ancient Egypt, books were written for the dead. The Sumerians feared spirits. Greek philosophers spoke of the soul's journey. In the Middle Ages, people were terrified with descriptions of hell. And in the modern era, science declared, death is the final point. But here is the problem. History does not fully confirm what science claims. Who said that no one ever comes back after death? This may be one of the biggest lies ever told. Welcome to Lost Pages. The concept of life after death is not limited to religions alone. Throughout history, events have occurred that even scientists were forced to remain silent about. In many parts of the world, thousands of people, especially children, after they begin to speak, suddenly start talking about another life. They do not say their own names, but completely different ones. They do not describe the places they live in, but cities they have never seen. And the most intriguing part is this. When they are taken to those places, it has been proven that the houses, the streets, and even the people exist exactly as they described. Shanti Devi, past life memories. Verified in India, Shanti Devi was born in 1926 in Delhi, India. From the moment she started speaking around the age of 4, her words astonished her family. She claimed, "I live in Mathura. My real home is there. My husband is Kedarnath Chauba, and I had a son." At first, her parents thought it was just a child's imagination, but as Shanti Devi continued, she provided extremely detailed descriptions. She named neighbors, relatives, and acquaintances from her past life, described her previous home's layout, the number of rooms, and even the placement of furniture. She recounted daily routines, such as how she cared for her own child and what tasks she performed each day, leaving no detail vague. Her family initially doubted her, but the specificity and consistency of her memories led to an investigation. Mahatma Gandhi organized a commission to verify her claims. When Shanti Devi was taken to Mathura at around 7 years old, she immediately recognized the streets, homes of people she had described, and even identified her past life husband. The commission documented every verification, leaving her family amazed. Shanti Devi's case demonstrates that children's memories can extend beyond their current life. Her recollections, corroborated by independent research, remain one of the most cited examples in reincarnation studies, proving that her memories were far beyond mere fantasy. James Leininger, a child remembering a B-2 pilot life. James Leininger, born in 1998 in the United States, began speaking about unusual experiences before he turned 2. He would say things like, "The plane is on fire. The little man won't come out. The Japanese shot us." His parents initially considered it typical child play, but James did not only recount nightmares. He provided specific details about his life as a World War II pilot, including the name of the aircraft carrier he served on, USS Natoma Bay, and even the names of fellow pilots. Investigations revealed that a real pilot, James M. Houston Jr., had indeed served on Natoma Bay and died in the Battle of Iwo Jima in 1945. Every detail James had recounted, from the ship's name to the events of battles and even individual pilot names, matched historical records. He could not have learned this information by ordinary means. James's experiences astonished both his parents and researchers. The child did not only recall historical facts, but also conveyed the emotional weight of his past life, the nightmares, fears, and vivid wartime experiences. This case remains one of the strongest documented examples supporting the possibility of reincarnation. Mahmoud Boulanger, Lebanon. Mahmoud began speaking at a very early age and claimed that in a previous life he had lived in another village. He stated that he had been murdered, that he knew who the killer was, and that he could identify the exact location where the incident had occurred. When the child was taken to the site, he recognized places he had never seen before and pointed out the person he said was responsible for the killing. The most striking detail was a birthmark on Mahmoud's head, which closely matched the location of a gunshot wound that had caused his death in the alleged previous life. The case was reportedly confirmed by village elders and local witnesses. I do not believe these children are lying. If you find it hard to believe, you can research these names yourself. Traces of these events can be found in historical records and documented investigations. Human beings have always been fascinated by the mystery of death and the possibility of life beyond it. Throughout history, cultures, religions, and philosophies have sought to understand whether death marks the absolute end of existence or merely a transition to another state. Ancient civilizations, particularly the Sumerians and Egyptians, developed some of the earliest and most elaborate beliefs about death, resurrection, and the journey of the soul, providing profound insights into humanity's understanding of life and its continuation. The Sumerians, who lived in Mesopotamia around 4,500 to 1900 BCE, viewed death not merely as the cessation of the physical body, but as a passage for the soul into another realm. They believed that every human spirit would enter an underworld called Kur. Kur was imagined as a dark and mysterious place, separated from the living world, where souls resided after death. It was neither a place of punishment nor reward in the earliest accounts, but rather a realm where the departed continued their existence in a different form. Sumerian mythology offers rich narratives about death and the afterlife, such as the story of Inanna and Dumuzi. Inanna, the goddess of the heavens, descends to the underworld and faces trials and challenges. Through these trials, she experiences a form of death and later returns to life, symbolizing both the inevitability of death and the possibility of renewal or rebirth. These stories reveal that Sumerians did not perceive death solely as an end. They recognized a continuation of existence, where rituals, offerings, and prayers for the deceased were essential to ensure the soul's well-being in the underworld. Archaeological evidence from Sumer, including clay tablets and inscriptions, highlights the importance of funerary practices. The rituals performed for the dead, the offerings to gods, and the preservation of memory all indicate that Sumerians saw death as a stage in an ongoing spiritual journey. Social hierarchy was also reflected in these practices, with the wealthy and powerful receiving elaborate tombs and offerings to secure the afterlife. These early beliefs laid the foundation for understanding human consciousness as something that could extend beyond physical life. In ancient Egypt, the concept of death and resurrection was even more elaborate and central to their culture. Egyptians viewed death as a transition rather than an end, believing that the soul continued to exist in another plane. They divided the soul into different components, primarily the Ka, representing life force, and the Ba, representing personality. Upon death, these components would separate from the physical body, but could continue to exist and, under proper conditions, reunite to ensure the individual's continued life in the afterworld. Egyptian mythology prominently features the story of Osiris and Isis as a symbol of death and resurrection. Osiris was killed by his brother Set, and his body was scattered, yet Isis gathered and restored him, bringing him back to life. This narrative illustrated the Egyptian belief that death was temporary, and through divine intervention, the soul could achieve renewal and eternal existence. The judgment of the soul by Osiris emphasized moral responsibility, as only those who lived righteously would attain a favorable afterlife. I do not believe in emptiness after death. It does not make sense for the good and the bad, the oppressor and the oppressed, to share the same fate. But I don't think that everything is as religions describe, with fires, cauldrons, or gardens filled with houris. I believe there is life after death, but in a form completely different from what we imagine. One thing I am certain of: this is not the end.